South Africa, once hailed as the Rainbow Nation, has faced numerous challenges since the end of apartheid, leading to concerns that the country might be sliding toward the status of a failed state. In political and economic circles, a failed state is defined as one where the government loses control of its territory, is unable to provide basic services, and fails to maintain a monopoly on violence. With rising crime, crippling unemployment, and recurring political scandals, South Africa has become a topic of intense global scrutiny. The most troubling sign of decline is the escalating crime rate. South Africa is grappling with some of the highest rates of violent crime in the world, including homicides, sexual violence, and armed robberies. According to statistics from the South African Police Service, SAPS, the country recorded over 21,000 murders in 2022 alone, a staggering 36 per 100,000 people. For context, this is 5 times higher than the global average. The surge in crime not only impacts everyday citizens, but also has dire economic consequences as businesses grapple with the cost of security, and tourism, a vital part of the economy, continues to decline. Economically, the situation is similarly bleak. South Africa has one of the highest unemployment rates globally, consistently hovering around 32%. Youth unemployment is especially dire, with nearly 60% of South Africans under 25 unable to find work. These staggering numbers represent millions of people trapped in poverty, struggling to survive in a country where the wealth gap continues to widen. The growing inequality has fueled social unrest, with protests and strikes becoming increasingly common as people demand jobs, housing, and better living conditions. Government corruption compounds these issues, undermining the country's ability to effectively tackle its challenges. The state capture scandal, which came to light in 2016, revealed the deep entanglements between high-ranking officials and private interests, leading to widespread distrust in the government. Former President Jacob Zuma was embroiled in corruption allegations that revealed billions of dollars siphoned off from state resources, further damaging public confidence. This endemic corruption has resulted in a weakening of public institutions and a lack of accountability that permeates all levels of governance. State-owned enterprises, SOEs, are another major area of concern. Eskom, the national electricity supplier, has become emblematic of South Africa's governance crisis. Chronic mismanagement and corruption have left Eskom unable to provide reliable power, leading to rolling blackouts that have hampered economic growth for over a decade. Load shedding has become a way of life for South Africans, with power outages occurring frequently and sometimes lasting several hours a day. These outages are not only a symbol of government failure, but also a barrier to the country's development. Without consistent power, businesses fail to operate at full capacity, leading to job losses and reduced foreign investment. The failing healthcare and education systems also underscore South Africa's struggles. Public hospitals are notoriously underfunded, and the country has a significant shortage of healthcare professionals. This situation was exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, where overwhelmed hospitals and limited resources led to tragic outcomes. South Africa also struggles with poor educational outcomes, despite spending a significant portion of its GDP on education. According to the 2019 Progress in International Reading Literacy Study, PIRLS, 78% of grade 4 students in South Africa cannot read for meaning, a clear sign that the country's education system is not delivering the necessary skills for future generations. One of the clearest indications of state failure is the breakdown in service delivery. South Africa's municipalities are plagued by inefficiency, mismanagement, and corruption. Basic services like water, sanitation, and waste management are inadequate in many parts of the country, leading to protests as citizens demand their right to essential services. The Auditor General's 2022 report found that only 41 out of 257 municipalities received a clean audit, highlighting the scale of the governance issues. In terms of international relations, South Africa still plays a significant role within the African continent, as evidenced by its membership in BRICS and its position as one of the more industrialized African nations. However, these geopolitical advantages are increasingly undermined by domestic instability. While South Africa remains a middle-income country with significant natural resources, the government's inability to manage these resources effectively has stunted economic growth and development. However, despite all these signs of decline, it's essential to recognize that South Africa still retains some strong institutional frameworks that can be leveraged for recovery. The judiciary remains independent, as demonstrated by the conviction of former President Jacob Zuma for contempt of court. a landmark ruling in a country where corruption often goes unpunished. The country also boasts a vibrant civil society, with numerous NGOs and activist groups working tirelessly to hold the government accountable. Ultimately, whether South Africa is a failed state or not depends on one's definition. If we judge by metrics like government effectiveness, the provision of public goods, and economic performance, South Africa undoubtedly exhibits many symptoms of failure. But it also retains elements that could, with the right leadership, prevent it from spiraling completely into chaos. There's still time to reverse course, but the road ahead will require tough reforms, accountability, and an end to the pervasive corruption that has crippled the nation. In conclusion, South Africa's future is uncertain. The statistics paint a grim picture, but the country's fate is not sealed. Whether it can overcome its profound challenges or fall further into decline will depend on its ability to reform and rebuild trust in its institutions.